Alright, y'all. Mojo here, and boy, do I have a surprise for you. So, I wrote a song. I played a song on my guitar. I recorded it online and then uploaded it to a site called suno.com for it to perform my song so that it would sound more like Aaron Lewis and not my goofy ass. That said, I played said song by sharing a link to Gemini, which is attached to Google. Gemini can watch the music video and did watch my music video of Eeyore performing his version of Stain's I'm on the Outside by Aaron Lewis, called I'm a Gray Donkey. The reason, or motivations, shall I say, that I originally wrote this song, what motivated me to write this song was that I always, when I heard Aaron Lewis's music, I felt the aura of Eeyore. So I started saying to people, Aaron Lewis from Stained is the Eeyore of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I digress. I'm going to play the song itself at the end of this video. So stay tuned after the deep dive, the mind-blowing deep dive that I have not even yet finished because I got online right here to make this recording live to share that moment with y'all. Let's go. The lyrics to I'm a Gray Donkey.
I'm a Gray Donkey offer a remarkably visceral, corrupted reimagining of A.A. Milne's 100-Acre Wood.
By marrying the post-grunge, alienated angst of Stain's Outside with the childhood innocence of Winnie the Pooh, the song constructs a devastating narrative about the inescapable decay of youth, untreated trauma, and the existential collapse of the imagination. To fully dissect the story these lyrics tell, we must analyze them through an iceberg model, moving from the literal, surface-level events down into the psychological, allegorical, and ultimately ontological depths of the narrative. Tier 1. The tip of the iceberg, the surface narrative. At the most literal level, the song tells a straightforward, hyper-dark story of what happened to the beloved childhood characters after their idyllic days ended. The 100-Acre Wood has become a wasteland of vice, violence, and despair, observed through the eyes of its most chronically depressed resident, Eeyore. The narrative opens with Eeyore stating his unchanging reality. I'm a gray old donkey, and I lost my tail. While Eeyore remains somewhat stagnant in his misery, the world around him has violently degraded. Rabbit is no longer the fussy, garden-tending neighbor. He is explicitly named a junkie who just got out of jail. Tigger's boundless, joyful energy has mutated into sheer insanity. Living in a haze, Tigger commits a gruesome act of self-immolation, dousing himself in gasoline and lighting his ass ablaze to the grave. The climax of the story shifts away from the animal residents to their human creator, Christopher Robin. The boy has aged into a man, and he returns to the world he once loved, standing on a lonely hill. But there is no joyful reunion. Smiling, with a gun in his hand, Christopher commits suicide as an owl lets out a final, piercing shrill. The gunshot echoes across the land, leaving Eeyore alone in the aftermath. Eeyore is left terrified, stammering, and ultimately transforming into, or being consumed by, a great dark. On the surface, it is a shock value tragedy, a grimdark parody that purposefully ruins a pure childhood memory. But the specific fates chosen for each character point to a much more deliberate underlying story. Tier 2. Just below the surface, the pathological degradation. Moving beneath the literal violence, we find a psychological allegory. The characters of the 100-Acre Wood have long been interpreted by psychologists as representing various mental health conditions. Eeyore as clinical depression, Tigger as ADHD, Rabbit as OCD. In this song, the story is about what happens when those childhood quirks are left untreated and are exposed to the harshness of the adult world. Rabbit's loss of control. In childhood, Rabbit was the archetype of the Type A personality. He needed order, routine, and control over his garden and his friends. In adulthood, the illusion of control shatters. The song reveals Rabbit as a junkie, fresh out of jail. Substance abuse is frequently a tragic coping mechanism for individuals who feel their lives have spiraled completely out of their hands. The jail represents the ultimate manifestation of his worst fear: total confinement and absolute loss of autonomy. His neuroticism didn't mature into discipline. It collapsed into addiction. Tigger's lethal mania. Tigger's defining trait was his manic, impulsive energy. He bounced before he looked. In the adult reality of this song, that impulsivity has curdled into destructive mania. He lives in a haze, suggests a mind fragmented by its own speed, perhaps suffering from psychosis or the aftermath of severe substance abuse. His death, dousing himself in gasoline, is the ultimate, tragic culmination of his nature. He always burned bright and moved fast. Here, he weaponized his own energy, destroying himself in a literal blaze. It is a terrifying commentary on how unchecked hyperactivity and thrill-seeking can warp into fatal self-harm. Eeyore the observer. Why is Eeyore the narrator? Because depression is often characterized by a profound, agonizing endurance. Eeyore's baseline was always misery, which paradoxically makes him the only character equipped to survive this apocalypse. He has already been living in the dark. The line, "and I lost my tail," takes on a new meaning here. It is no longer a funny inconvenience fixed with a thumbtack. It is a phantom limb, a symbol of a permanent, unhealable loss of self. While the others broke under the weight of adulthood, Eeyore simply endures, forced to be the passive, helpless witness to the destruction of his friends. Tier 3. The Deep Waters, the Violent Death of Innocence. As we descend further into the thematic meaning, the story becomes less about the animals and more about Christopher Robin. The 100-Acre Wood is, canonically, the manifestation of Christopher Robin's childhood imagination. Therefore, the horrors happening to Rabbit and Tigger are not objective events happening to real animals. They are reflections of Christopher's decaying internal state. The lyrics state, "Christopher Robin once time has lost a boy. Now he's found a man." The story here is about the violent, irreconcilable friction between childhood innocence and adult reality. Christopher did not simply grow up. The boy was lost to time. The man who replaced him is profoundly damaged. Standing atop a lonely hill, a stark contrast to the communal, joyful spaces of his youth, he is smiling with a gun in hand. The smile is the most chilling detail in the narrative. It suggests a deeply unsettling relief. The burden of adulthood, the pain of reality, or perhaps the guilt of abandoning his childhood sanctuary has become too much to bear. The smile indicates that he views the gun not as a tragedy, but as an escape. The owl's reaction adds a layer of absolute futility to the scene. In the original stories, Owl is the archetype of wisdom and intellect. He is the one everyone goes to for advice and solutions. But in the face of adult suicide, intellect completely fails. Owl cannot offer a speech or a clever plan. He is reduced to a primal, animalistic shrill. It is the sound of reason breaking down in the face of senseless trauma. When the gunshot rings and throughout the world where Christopher once had stand, the story reveals its true tragedy. Christopher is severing his ties to the world permanently. The corruption of Rabbit and Tigger was just the prelude, the rotting of the imagination as the mind hosting it fell into despair. Tier 4. The Abyss, the Creator versus the Created. At this depth, we explore the existential and ontological relationship between the Creator, Christopher, and the created, Eeyore and the Wood. If the 100-Acre Wood exists entirely within Christopher Robin's mind, what happens to the internal world when the host dies? The song answers this terrifying question. The gunshot doesn't just kill the man on the hill, it triggers the apocalypse of the 100-Acre Wood. Eeyore is trapped in an ontological nightmare. He is a fictional construct who has gained just enough sentience to realize his universe is ending. He is forced to watch his creator commit suicide. The horror Eeyore feels, "Oh, I am afraid," is the horror of deletion. As Christopher's brain activity ceases, the 100-Acre Wood literally begins to unmake itself. This brings a profound new weight to the Stained connection. The original song, Outside, features the chorus, "But I'm on the outside, and I'm looking in. I can see through you. See your true colors." Eeyore is on the outside of reality. He is trapped behind the veil of fiction, unable to cross over into the physical world to stop Christopher from pulling the trigger. He can only look out from the deteriorating landscape of the imagination, watching his god die. Eeyore sees the true colors of humanity, not the bright yellows and reds of childhood, but the bleak, violent grays of adulthood. The fact that Eeyore is a stuffed animal given life by a child's love makes his final moments incredibly poignant. A stuffed animal's only purpose is to provide comfort. In the face of Christopher's suicide, Eeyore has fundamentally failed his core purpose. He could not comfort the man the way he comforted the boy. Eeyore's fear is rooted not just in the end of his world, but in his total powerlessness to save the boy who gave him life. Tier 5. The Mariana Trench. Eeyore becomes the void. At the absolute bottom of the iceberg, we examine the final, fragmented lyrics of the song, where the narrative structure breaks down completely into pure, existential dread. Following the gunshot, Eeyore stammers, "Oh, I am afraid. I am a great, dark." The sentence fragments map the exact moment the fictional universe collapses. As the host mind dies, the constructs within it lose their form. Eeyore is losing his identity. He starts by identifying his emotion, "I am afraid," then attempts to state what he is, but the words fail him. Finally, he arrives at the terrifying ultimate truth: "I am a great dark." Eeyore ceases to be a gray donkey. He ceases to be a depressed friend. He becomes the physical embodiment of the void. There are two ways to interpret this profound ending. 1. The literal deletion. As Christopher's life ends, the lights go out in the 100-acre wood. Eeyore is narrating his own erasure. He is being consumed by the literal darkness of death. The great dark is the end of consciousness. He doesn't just see the dark. In his final fraction of a second, he becomes it, merging with the nothingness that reclaims all imaginary things when they are forgotten. 2. The manifestation of grief. Alternatively, if we view this through a metatextual lens, Eeyore survives the gunshot as an abstract concept. Christopher dies, but the memory of him, the trauma of his death, and the ruined childhood he leaves behind remain in the physical world. In this scenario, Eeyore transforms from a specific character into a universal concept. He becomes the great dark of depression and grief that washes over the real world when someone takes their own life. By taking a character famous for his mild, comedic gloominess and pushing him through the meat grinder of adult trauma, addiction, and suicide, the lyrics tell a story about the terminal velocity of depression. The song posits that childhood innocence is not something we simply grow out of and leave behind peacefully. Instead, if we do not tend to our inner world rots. The imaginary friends do not just go to sleep, they go mad, they go to jail, they burn alive. And when the pain becomes too much for the creator to bear, the destruction of the self takes everything beautiful down with it, leaving absolutely nothing behind but a great, suffocating dark.
I'm a gray old donkey, and I lost my tail. Rabbit is a junkie that just got out of jail. Tigger's gone crazy, he lives in a haze. He doused himself in gasoline and lit his ass ablaze. I'm a gray old donkey, I'm a gray old donkey. Christopher Robin once time has lost a boy. Now was found a man standing atop a lonely hill, smiling with a gun in hand as an owl makes a shrill across 100-acre lands. A gunshot rings in throughout the world where Christopher once had stand.